That's right. The question is, will you make it through the jungle? Now, the answer will literally determine the quality of your life. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is the answer to that question really all that important? Well, once again, the answer to that question of whether or not you will make it through the jungle will literally determine the quality of your life. Because if you answer yes, you get a chance to live with the classes, being able to experience what you want, when you want, with whom you want, without having to worry about the price. But if you answer no, that you won't make it through the jungle, then you'll get a chance to live with the masses, being able to have a life full of poverty, full of mediocrity, full of blaming, full of complaining. And so it's up to you to answer that question. Will you make it through the jungle? Now, of course, I already know your answer to that question of will you make it through the jungle. Your answer is yes, because if it wasn't yes, you wouldn't be listening to this program. You wouldn't be watching this program. You wouldn't have picked up this information if your answer was not yes. So, in other words, yes, you will make it through the jungle. That's your choice. Is that true? Yes, of course. Now, remember, making it through the jungle to the land of paradise, that's your objective. Your land of you notice I said your land of paradise, not my land of paradise. Your land of paradise might be different than my land of paradise. So what I'm saying is this. You want to figure out what your land of paradise is. In other words, what kind of life do you desire to experience while you're here on this planet? What would you like to be able to do? What would you like to be able to have? What would you like to be able to be, more importantly? So, if you answer no, which I know you didn't, then those are the poor souls who actually lead a life filled with poverty, filled of complaints, filled with blaming, filled of condemnation, filled of victimitis, filled of all that stuff. And so we don't want to have anything to do with that. We're all about expansion here. We're all about growth here. We're all about going to a whole nother level here. That's what we're about. And that's what this program is all about. It's going to be sharing with you ideas and concepts of what this whole ideal about the jungle is in the first place. Because I know you're probably thinking, jungle, what is that? Well, many of you have already listened to my tape called Murphy's Committee. You listened to the tape or you listened to the CD version of it, and you already know what this is all about. But for those of you who don't know what it's about, have no clue, let me go ahead and share with you a brief background on how this came up. I was 18 years old. I got my first dose of personal development at that age. In other words, I came across personal development tapes by people like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret, Zig Ziglar, How to Be a Winner. I could keep going on and on. There's so many of them. And the interesting thing is that I started listening to that information and it started to make a difference. I noticed that my mind was changing. I started to think a little bit differently. I started to really think that maybe I can do something really big with my life because they were telling me that, you know what? You might as well think big instead of thinking small. It's going to take the same amount of energy to think big as it does to think small. So I started thinking a little bit differently. And one of the objectives, one of the goals I had at that point, I said, well, I'm going to think big. One of my goals is to become a millionaire by the time I'm 25 years of age. And remember, I was 18 years of age. And I know you don't know all my background, but I was born in a garage. I was raised in the ghetto. And so here I am, 18 years of age, working at a 7-Eleven store, saying that I'm going to be a millionaire by the age of 25. Now, did I become a millionaire by the age of 25? No, I was a little bit off. But hey, I still made it while I was still in my 20s. It's not too bad. And so the point is this, though. If it wasn't for that information, there's no way that I would have expanded. There's no way I would have grown. There's no way I would have actually been able to accomplish the things that I've been able to accomplish. So the question becomes now, how can I share this information with other people? How can I assist other people? Because the thing that made another difference for me is at the age of 19, that's when I found a vehicle that could allow me to express the different things that were taking place in my mind, the development that was taking place. I found the vehicle. And what was that vehicle? The vehicle of network marketing. That was the vehicle that I discovered at the age of 19. It made all the difference for me. But what I noticed is that just because I was excited, not everyone was excited about the concept. In other words, I talked to some of my friends, some of my family members and so forth, and they were telling me I was crazy. They were telling me this thing's a pyramid. Jerry, don't you know this is a scam? Jerry, don't you know that this doesn't work? Jerry, don't you know that people got product in their garage still who had purchased products years before and they can't even get rid of it? Jerry, what are you doing? You're a smart guy. Go to school. Get a good education. Go get a good job, man. You can do very well. This is what people were telling me because that's the programming that I had. So I had to make a choice. Am I going to pay attention to what these people are telling me to do? Now, these are people who were making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. They couldn't really pay all their obligations, their bills, and everything else. They were complaining about not being able to go any place on vacation, not being able to really purchase things that they desire. They were complaining all the time, but they were telling me to do exactly what they were doing. And these people in network marketing, they were telling me that, hey, you can have financial freedom. You can travel all around the world first class. You can really do whatever it is you desire. They were telling me this, and I'm thinking, wow, is this possible? Is this true? And I just wanted to believe that they really were talking the truth. That's the reason why I got plugged in. But once again, as I got plugged in, I noticed that there were times that I wanted to quit because there were challenges that took place as I was in this whole development process of growing and building my business. There were challenges. And I figured, how can I deal with these challenges more effectively? And also, how can I assist other people? Because I noticed there was other people who were going through challenges as well, and a lot of them were quitting. I saw people giving up on their dreams, giving up on their goals, giving up on their ambitions. So that's how this whole concept of going through the jungle came up. I came across a book by a guy named Scott Alexander called Rhinoceros Success. Scott is a friend of mine now. And this guy wrote this book back in 1980. And it has impacted millions of people from all corners of the globe. And it basically talks about how some people are like cows, grazing through the cow pastures. Some people are like rhinos. You got to be a rhino to charge through the jungle so you can make it to your land of paradise. And I got excited about this concept. And then another individual who's another friend of mine named Les Brown, he talked about how, as you're going through this thing called the jungle, he didn't really call it the jungle, but as you're going through achieving your goals and your objectives and the things you really desire, what's going to happen is the messengers of misery will pay you a visit. And the messengers of misery will do everything they can to stop you from obtaining the desired reality that you have created for yourself. So I got excited. I said, wait a minute, this messenger of misery business, that sounds interesting. So I combined the information from what I had learned from Scott Alexander and the information I learned from Les Brown, and I created my own concept. I came up with this concept called Murphy's Committee because I thought, wait a minute, there got to be more than one with Murphy. Because, you've all heard of Murphy's Law. What does Murphy's Law say? Exactly. Murphy's Law says whatever can go wrong probably will. Well, you've heard of that. Well, I said, wait a minute, there got to be more than one because there's about a half a dozen or so things that would go wrong with pretty much everyone who got started in network marketing or direct sales or some type of free enterprise. So I combined those two concepts, and what you're about to understand and what you're about to learn and what you're about to gain from watching this information is basically my insight of what has assisted me in being able to make it through the jungle. My insight of what has assisted me in being able to share with other people, thousands of other people in over 35 countries, on how they can make it in the jungle. And so now it's your turn to learn how you can make it through the jungle. And what we're going to do is we're about to take you to a live event that I conducted in Melbourne, Australia, in front of over 2,000 pumped up, enthusiastic, developing rhinos. And you're going to get a chance to learn more about this concept of the jungle. And so why don't we go right now to Melbourne, Australia, and I'll be seeing you soon later on in the program.
Excited rhinos in the house, yeah. Okay, while you guys are up, since you guys are up, I want you to stay up. Stay up since you guys are up and excited here. We're gonna start off by doing a go clap, okay? How many of you have done a go clap? Yeah, all right. How many of you have never done a go clap before? Don't know what I'm talking about, okay? This is how the go clap works. We're gonna start off kind of slow, and we're gonna go, 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 come down. You guys are excited, okay, come down, all right? And we're going to speed up. Go, 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 go. And then we're going to go, whoa. And then the palm of your hands is where you will be this time next year. You get to choose that. Okay? And then we're going to clap right through it. We're going to go. And you're going to own that. How many of you want to play? Say aye. Okay. Suffering will be optional. Ready. Go, 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 go. Go! Look at someone to your right and left and say, I'm going and so are you. Okay, now this is what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about the importance of actually going through the jungle so you can make it to what I call the land of paradise. And we're going to talk about that whole process. We're going to talk about how it works. We're going to talk about why it's so important for you to understand this concept. It is critical for you to understand this concept. This, I'm going to tell you something, by you understanding this concept, it's going to allow you to actually have more people in your business stick around. More people who get started, they will actually stay in the business. By you presenting this concept. Also, it's going to allow you to quickly weed out the cows. Now, I know some of you are wondering, okay, what is this cow thing? See, I'm going to share something with you. I want you to write something down here. Write down, or you can do it in your mind for those who don't want to write this down. Write down the year you were born. Some of you might want to think about this one. It's okay. Write that down, and that's what we call, obviously, your birthday. And then we usually put some kind of little, what do they call that thing in the middle? A dash. Then at the end of the dash, there's a question mark, but that's going to be what we call your box day. In other words, you're going to have two B days. You're going to have a birthday and you're going to have a box day. You guys understand what the box day is? Okay, that's the day that basically you're not going to be in physical existence anymore. So in the middle of this birthday and this box day, it's what we call your dash. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you believe that there was a lot of time that already went by before you even showed up on your birthday? How many of you believe that? There's a lot of time that passed by already, yeah? Now, how many of you believe there's going to be a lot of time that's going to pass by after your box day? Other time is going to pass. So let me ask you something. If a lot of time has already passed before you showed up and a lot of time is going to pass after you're gone, in physical form, is this little dash, is that a short period of time or is it a long period of time? It's a very short period of time in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? And so when you go somewhere for a short period of time, the reason why I say when you go somewhere is because all the research has shown that we are nothing but energy. And it says that energy never dies. It only transforms. Now, if that's true, that means that we were somewhere else in some form of energy before our birthday even showed up. And that means we're going to be somewhere else in some form of energy after our box day passes. So the question is when you go somewhere for a short period of time, which obviously we are here for a short period of time, what do you call that? A holiday, exactly. You call it a holiday, a vacation. In other words, what I want you to understand is that we are all here on vacation right now. We're all on holiday. Now, when you go somewhere for a short period of time, you go on a vacation, do you typically do your best to make sure it's the most joyful thing you've ever been on? You have a great time? Or do you find all the ways that you can suffer? All the ways that you can make it painful, right? Be miserable, be depressed. We don't do that. We do everything we can to make the most of it. And so all I'm saying is that I want you to think about what exactly are you going to create during your little dash? I want you to think about that because that's very important. You've heard all the diamonds come up here and so forth, talk about the importance of understanding your why and you know what you're doing and all this. This is critical because by you understanding exactly what you're going to create during your dash, that's going to assist you in a major way. And obviously, each and every last one of you are here to create something powerful. And the reason why I say that is because you wouldn't be here if you weren't having in your mind to create something powerful. You wouldn't be here. And I say that is because, the reason I say that is because it takes a certain breed of individual to be here. See, it takes the type of person that I call a rhino. And that is what it's going to take in order for you to make it in this business in a major way, is you're going to have to develop this spirit that's already has been in you since you were born. Because I want you to think about something. You were born with a fighting spirit. You were born with a charging spirit. You were born and you were on the go, go, go before you even showed up. And the reason why you were on the go, go, go is because you wanted to win this massive race that you were a part of. See, you were a part of a massive race. There were millions of other little pollywog-looking critters in this race. And you all wanted to win this race. And the reason why you wanted to win is because the one who wins gets to live. And there was over 200 million. And it was an uphill swim. And you showed up first. So the whole thing that I want you to understand is that you were born with a charging spirit. You were born with what I call the rhino spirit. In other words, you literally have some kind of reason to be here. In other words, you came here with a purpose. You came here with a passion. You came here to actually accomplish something great, accomplish something big. And the reason I say that is because we are all winners. We all show up with that spirit. We all won our first race. You won your first race. And then what happens? Then what happens is through the daily programming of life, we get trained to be a cow. I'm serious, we get trained to be a cow. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what is this cow business all about? Well, I want you to think about it. Where do cows live? Yeah, exactly. Cows live in the pasture, right? Cows are just grazing in the pastures. And what's in the pastures? Grass. Very perceptive, yes. There's grass. What else is in the cow pastures? Cows. Yeah, that's very good. What else? Manure. Ooh, yeah. In other words, there's not a whole bunch in the cow pastures. There's also a fence, right? That kind of fences the cows in. In other words, there's not a whole bunch in the cow pastures. You got a fence, you got a cow, you got some grass, and what the cows do is they go around doing their best to get whatever grass they can. That's all they do. They go around getting whatever grass they can. These are the people that want to keep everything safe. They want to be secure. And what they don't understand is that by their very methods of being safe and secure, that's one of the most unsecure things that they can possibly do. What I mean is that these are the people that will tell you when you're out there going for something big, they will tell you, no, you're not supposed to do that. Because anything that doesn't look like the traditional recipe that we were all trained with, what's the recipe that we were trained with? In other words, how were we programmed? What were we taught that was really important for us to do if we were going to be successful? What were we taught? Shout out something. What are you supposed to do? Go to school, exactly. And what are you going to do when you go to school? Study hard, I heard someone say, and then what? Get a job, exactly. And then, what kind of job, by the way? A good job. Someone got the same mom I had, huh? Okay, hey, how you doing, brother? Okay. You're going to get a good job. You're going to work what? Hard. You're going to be loyal. You're going to be industrious. And before you know it, you're going to have so much money, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. Yeah, right? And this is what most of us are taught. And is this what most people do? Yeah, this is what most people do. And then they start to hear about, there's a better way of living. They start to hear about that. In other words, people start to get a glimpse of what I call the land of paradise. They start to get a glimpse. See, the land of paradise is where you can do what you want. You can do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. You don't have to worry about the price. And there are some conversations of the land of paradise in the cow pastures. And so the cows, they get a little glimpse of this land of paradise, of, the grandeur homes and stuff, and, the palatial estates, and being able to travel around the world, being able to do whatever you want to do in life. They get a little glimpse of that. But you know what? They kind of go back to reality and say, well, no, that's not for me. I can't do that. And that is what most people have told us. Is that true? They have told us that we can't do this. They told us that this thing doesn't work. They told us that, this is a pyramid. This is a scam. And the reason why moo. Exactly. Can I hear you all say moo for me real quickly? Moo. Oh, yeah, you guys are good. Exactly. Are you crazy? This thing won't work. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I know someone was in that, and they still got some product in their garage. Ooh, yeah, okay. Did you go to another seminar and buy some more of those tapes? And this is what the conversation of the cow's like. Now, here's something that I really want you to understand, is that the reason why they're talking this way is because that's the way that they've been programmed. They don't see anything else. And so what I want you to understand is that you all have that rhino spirit, and you're bringing it back out. And I know you're bringing it back out because you're here. See, first of all, you would have never got started. You would have never got started in the business. You would have never said, yeah, I want to step up. I want to go ahead and start really making something happen in this business. It would have never happened unless the rhino spirit that was already in you started to get re-twinkled or something. You know what I mean? It started rekindled. I mean, just bringing it back out. And you start bringing that rhino spirit back out of you. But the thing that I want you to understand is that there's going to be a force that's going to do everything they can to stop you when you really start to go for it. In other words, when you leave the cow pastures and go to the jungle. Because the only way you're going to make it to the land of paradise, the only way you're going to make it to be able to do what you want when you want, the only way that's going to be able to happen is for you to go out of the cow pastures and go into the jungle. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you believe that there's a little bit more risk in the jungle? Yeah, there's a little bit more risk in the jungle. There's no regular medical benefits in the jungle. There's no regular paycheck in the jungle. There's none of the security stuff that they're looking for in the jungle. And the jungle is a little bit more adventurous. It's a little bit more exciting. But you know what? That is the exact place that's going to be necessary for you to be and go through in order for you to get to the land of paradise. It's going to be the exact place. But once you enter the jungle, and this is one of the biggest mistakes people make, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't realize that they've entered the jungle. So once they enter the jungle, they don't know they've entered the jungle. In other words, once you get started in this business, you say, yes, I'm going to do this as a business. I'm going to really make some money with this. I'm going to move forward with this. I want to make some charitable contributions and so forth. I want to be able to do something different than what I've been doing. Once you really get to that stage, what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a force that's going to do everything it can to stop you. How many of you heard of Murphy's Law? You guys heard of Murphy's Law? What does Murphy's Law say? Anything that can go wrong probably will. That's what Murphy's Law says. And so this is what I want you to understand. Once you have made a decision to get started in this business, you have literally stepped into the jungle. Now the challenge is you might not have known that you were in the jungle. You might not have even known that. So if you don't know that you're in the jungle, you're going to have some problems. The reason why you're going to have some problems is because if you don't know you're in the jungle, then you have a tendency to bring some cow thinking with you to the jungle. And cow thinking is not going to last in the jungle. Also, you have a tendency to bring some cow beliefs in the jungle. And cow beliefs aren't going to last very long in the jungle. Also, you'll have a tendency to bring some cow skin in the jungle. And cow skin, let me ask you, is it thin or thick? Yeah, cow skin is very thin. So if anyone shoots an arrow or something at a cow, it's going to penetrate through their skin, the thin skin, and they will leave the jungle and go right back to the cow pastures. In order for you to make it in the jungle, you're going to have thick skin. You're going to have the skin of a rhinoceros. Because once you get in the jungle, what's going to happen is, we talked about Murphy's Law. Whatever could go wrong probably will. Well, I realized something as I was building my business. See, I got started in networking when I was 19 years old. I got started in this business at the age of 19. I didn't know anything about it. And the interesting thing is that I wanted to know how could I get myself in a situation where I could retire early. That was my whole reason for getting in. I wanted to retire early. I didn't want to do this 65-year-old retiring thing. They say you're supposed to work for 40 years, and then you can retire? And they're talking about not only that, but you got to get up and go to work every day, 5 whole days a week. And they expect you to be there on time. And I said, well, I don't think this is going to be for me. I can't do this everyday thing. Maybe 2 days a week. And then I can, take off for 5. That might have worked. But 5 whole days a week that you're supposed to get up in the morning to an electronic rooster, shocking your heart? I said, no, I can't do this. And so I had to find a different way. Because, see, I don't know about you, but I was psychologically unemployable. I don't know about you, but that's where I was. I was psychologically unemployable. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that for 40 years. I just knew it. And the reason why I knew it is because I used to drive to college every morning. And it was during the time that people went to work. And I remember I used to look at the expression in their face when they were driving to work. And that's when I realized that they didn't like their work. Because these people, I would look at them, right? And you got to be slick when you look at them. And I would look at them. And as I would look at them, what you do is, see, they're driving, right? And I'm looking at them. And they're driving, and they feel that I'm looking at them. Now, this is how you can test if people love their jobs. If they look at you like this, they love their job, right? But if they look at you like this, okay, they don't love their job. You can test it out, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So I said, okay, what is it going to take for me to make it? Because as I was in the business, I noticed some of my distributors, they were getting started in the business, and then they would end up quitting. And I was wondering, why are these people quitting? And I would take a look, and I took a closer look, and I noticed that there was only about a half a dozen things that would happen to get people to quit. And they all would quit because of the same reasons. And so I started thinking, wait a minute, what if there's a way for me to be able to not tell these people that this is not going to happen, because it will happen? In other words, they're going to go through all the challenges, they're going to go through all the things. But what if there is a way for me to be able to have them look at those challenges in a different way? What if there was a way for me to have them look at it in a way that would keep them charging when some of these challenges took place? What if there's a way for me to do that? And I started getting excited. And I said, okay, great, let me create something. Let me think about something. And that's when I started thinking about this whole concept of going through the jungle. I said, okay, everyone is in the cow pastures at first. They're just kind of moving around, just taking whatever comes their way. And then they enter the jungle. And when you enter the jungle, the interesting thing is that it's important to have different skin, different mindset, different beliefs and thinking patterns if you're going to make it all the way through. And I said, let me go ahead and teach them that. But on the other side of the jungle, it's this thing called the land of paradise. Let me teach my people that. And you know what? I started teaching my people. And I let them know of the things that was going to happen in advance before they even got started. I told them what was going to happen. But when I told them what was going to happen, and I explained it to them in advance, and I explained it to them in the format of Murphy's Committee, more of them stayed in the business longer. In other words, when those same challenges that would typically make them quit, more of them stayed around longer. They stayed in the business longer. And some of my most successful producers were people who were at the brink of quitting.
So you've already figured out that you're a rhino, huh? Yep, I know you have, because that's what we wanted you to do so far. We wanted you to get to the point to where, okay, you understand that, yes, you're developing rhino. Yes, you definitely desire to go ahead and make big things happen. No, you definitely do not want to be in a cow pasture, grazing around, accepting basically nothing. And yes, it's okay for other people not to appreciate, not to get so excited about what you're doing. That's really what this was all about. It's just kind of setting that up for you. Now that you understand the concept about cow pasture, a little bit about the jungle and so forth, and that it's going to actually take you, being a rhino, in order to be able to make it through the jungle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give you a chance to go back and actually learn the different methods and the different techniques and the different strategies that Murphy Committee use on you to try to get you to stop and to leave the jungle so you can go back to the cow pastures to be one of those poor, pathetic, and powerless souls that graze around getting nothing. So now, let's go right back to Melbourne, Australia, and get a chance to learn the techniques that Murphy's Committee use on you. As a matter of fact, let's start with Murphy 1 right now.
Murphy number 1 is going to go to work on you first. And pretty much everybody in here have already dealt with Murphy number 1. Because Murphy number 1 sends your friends and family out after you to try to get you to return to the cow pastures. Murphy number 1 has your friends and family. They're the ones that tell you this is crazy, this is a scam, this is a pyramid, this won't work, that's snake oil. Why are you messing with all that stuff? You know, you got to keep paying to go to seminars, you got to do all that stuff. That's what they talk about. And sure enough, a lot of people quit. See, I'm telling you this because how many of you have had people quit because of their friends and family? Have any of you had people quit because of friends and family? Yes. So what I'm saying is let's let them know in advance that their friends and family are going to attack them. But you don't have to tell them. You let them listen to the Murphy's Committee tape. You let them listen to that because you let that tape do the work for you. And as they're listening to that tape, now when their friends and family come after them and say, oh, no, that doesn't work, that's a pyramid and all this stuff, Now, the only thing they're going to hear in the back of their mind is, moo, yeah. And if they hear that, how many of you think that may empower them to keep charging a little bit longer? Exactly. So that's what this whole concept is all about. Now, for those of you who made it past Murphy number 1, congratulations. But don't worry, because Murphy number 2 is going to go to work on you. And Murphy number 2 injects you with a dose of poverty consciousness. In other words, Murphy number 2 is the one that gets you thinking that it's not important to invest in yourself, that it's not important to invest in your business. As a matter of fact, Murphy number 2 is the one that really did its best to get you not to show up this weekend. Is that true? How many of you had some attacks from Murphy number 2 in order to get yourself here? In other words, you had some attacks. We don't have the money. We don't have the time. We went last year. It's going to be the same old thing. Don't laugh too loud. Give yourself away. But what I'm saying is Murphy number 2 will do everything he can to get you to stop. Because, once again, they don't want you to make it. That's their job. See, I'm going to tell you something. The only reason I'm able to travel around the world right now, the only reason that I go first class and all this stuff, the only reason why I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, the only reason that happens is because I was able to understand and journey effectively through the jungle so I can make it to the land of paradise. Once I got to the land of paradise, I felt that there were other people in the jungle who wanted an escort, who wanted a jungle buddy, who wanted a guide to assist them in going through the jungle. So that's what I specialize. That's what I bring. That's what I've decided to do, is go around the world and share with other people. Look, you're in the jungle. The jungle is a different environment than the cow pastures. You can't operate like you operated in the cow pastures and be effective in the jungle. It won't work. Now understand, just because you got bold enough to enter the jungle, that doesn't mean it's going to be a cakewalk. You're going to get attacked. By who? Murphy's committee. Murphy number 1, your friends and family. Murphy number 2, poverty consciousness. Great, if you get through those. Because I'm telling you something, when it comes to investing in yourself, Murphy will really work on you real diligently. Murphy does not want you investing in yourself. The one thing you've noticed with all the diamonds, the new diamonds that came up, they were talking about the importance of investing in themselves. Is that true? You heard them say, if it wasn't for me investing in the Bob Proctor type programs, and this guy named Jerry Clark type programs and stuff, if it wasn't for that type of stuff, then I wouldn't be here right now. Because it's that type of stuff that's really going to make a difference. I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for that type of stuff, I wouldn't be here right now. There's no way I would be here. Because as far as society is concerned, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be making all this money and stuff. I'm not supposed to be traveling around the world. I'm not supposed to be flying first class. I know I'm not supposed to be flying first class. How do I know that? Every time I go on a plane and I turn left to go first class, they stop me and ask for my ticket. Now, 3 other people turned and went that way. They didn't touch them. So why they mess with me? Because society says I'm not supposed to be there. But I'm up there anyway. Now, Murphy number 3 is going to go to work on you. And what Murphy number 3 does is injects you with a dose of emotional heartache. Murphy number 3 really attacks you at an emotional level. This is a tough one. And so what Murphy number 3 does is gets in a situation. I want to make sure you guys understand over here. Murphy number 3 gets you in a situation to where you actually, like, let me give you a personal example. I was in a situation where I fell in love with this beautiful young lady. And I wanted to take her to the jungle with me. And I wanted her to go through the jungle into the land of paradise. And you know what? She couldn't deal with the energy and the challenges and the dirtiness of the jungle. She couldn't deal with it. So you know what? I had to make a choice because she told me it was either her in the cow pastures with her. She didn't say it in those words, okay? And she said, or you can stay in that jungle by yourself, basically. And that was a tough decision for me. And the reason why it was real tough is because I really loved this lady. I really wanted to take her with me. And you know what? I had to make a choice. And I had to tell her, bye-bye. And she went back to the cow pastures, and she found a cow or a bull or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I'm not sure what she did. But I had to let her go. And all I want you to understand is that Murphy number 3 was very impressed to see me make it that far. Murphy number 3, because Murphy's committee, they rarely see an individual who really makes it that far. Because see, once you make it that far in the jungle, what happens is you end up right next to this swamp. And this swamp looks and smells ugly. You want to have nothing to do with the swamp. And what I want you to understand about the swamp, look at that swamp. Oh, looks and smells bad. And most people don't want to jump in that swamp. They don't want to proceed, even though there's a glimpse of hope. You see the little glimpse? There's a glimpse of hope over there. But no, they don't want to jump in because it smells and it's stinky and it's yucky, and I don't want to get in that thing. And I don't blame them. And so most people will actually go back to the cow pastures because they don't want to get into the swamp. They don't want to proceed ahead. And so they end up in the cow pastures. Their friends and family are happy. Their friends and family knew that they would come back to their senses one day. And sure enough, that's it for them. Most of them will become casualties of the jungle, never to return again. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people who are actually COJs, casualties of the jungle. You can go see their tombstone in the MLM cemetery. It's a sad situation. But you know what? There's a few people, like all of you, once you get to that swamp, you're going to choose to jump right in, aren't you? You jump right in that swamp, and you start to proceed across. And as you're proceeding across the swamp, Murphy number 4 and 5 are going to start to attack you because Murphy number 4 and 5 are Siamese twins. And these Siamese twins are going to go at you with everything they got. Because, see, Murphy number 1 specializes in family abandonment and social insult, and Murphy number 2 specializes in poverty consciousness. Murphy number 3 specializes in emotional heartache, but Murphy number 4 and 5, they don't specialize. Murphy number 4 and 5, they are generalists, which means that they can do everything that 1, 2, and 3 did, and they can do them all at the same time, plus they can add other stuff that 1, 2, and 3 never done. In other words, whatever can possibly go wrong probably will when you are the closest to making it to the land of paradise. This is when you're in a swamp. That's when typically whatever could go wrong probably goes wrong, right there at that point. And what I'm going to say to you is that at this time of your journey through the jungle, this is a time that I want you all to make sure you press harder than you ever pressed before. I want you to make sure that you keep charging more than you've ever charged before. This is that time. Because if you keep doing that, what's going to happen is finally, eventually, Murphy's committee is going to get tired of messing with you. They're going to get tired. They're going to go, you know what? I am tired of messing with this person. I've been messing with him all this time, or I've been messing with her all this time. I tell you what, why don't we let's leave him alone. Or let's leave her alone. And let's mess with somebody else. I'm going to tell you what happens. All of a sudden, you find yourself walking in crystal clear blue water. You got the sand going through your toes. You got the wind blowing through your hair, if you got some hair, okay? If you don't got none, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm shaving mine off in 10 years. And all of a sudden, a nice AMG Hammer Mercedes-Benz comes up to the beach. and your significant other gets out and gives you a little kiss on the cheek, and you get into the limousine, your chauffeur drives you down the freeway. As you're driving down the freeway, all of a sudden you notice some cars are passing by. And in these cars are some cows. And these cows are looking at you. And you can see their lips as they say the words, "Lucky folks." Because they're still chewing some cud. And you sit there and you smile. And your chauffeur continues to drive you down. And all of a sudden you come to this gate. And as you come to this gate, you pull up. And the gate opens. As the gate opens, you drive up. And all of a sudden, you notice that you're at your estate. This is your home. And you notice that you have a 7-car garage. And there's a button in your limousine where you can press the button and all of the garage doors open at the same time. Why do you open all your garage doors at the same time? So you can see all your cars. Exactly. And slot number 1, you got a beautiful Mercedes-Benz just sitting there. A CL600, over $100,000, and it looks at you because you haven't driven it in 6 months. And it winks. Hi. And slot number 2, you got another Mercedes. This one is a convertible hardtop, SL600. And slot number 3, you got a Rolls Royce, just sitting there looking pretty. And slot number 4, guess what's sitting in slot number 4? A Ferrari, just sitting there looking good. In slot number 5, you got the Ferrari's cousin, a Lamborghini. In slot number 6, you got a Hummer, in case you want to run over somebody. And in slot number 7 is where your limousine pulls in. As your limousine pulls in, you get out and you proceed to the elevator that takes you up to the main entrance of your estate. See, it only makes sense that you have a multi-level home since you are in multi-level marketing. And so all of a sudden, the doors of the elevator open, and you walk on all black marble floors. And as you're walking on all black marble floors, all of a sudden you have a 180-degree view. You notice this beautiful view. And you go up and you see the beautiful view, and you got the ocean, and you look down and you notice you got your tennis courts, you got your basketball courts, and you see your children playing on the courts. And you got a swimming pool that has a waterfall, and you can hear the sounds of the waterfall. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Your butler answers it. Says it's for you. Your butler gives you the phone. You pick up the phone, and all of a sudden you notice there's a friend on the other end of the line who had a chance to enter the jungle with you. But your friend told you that you were crazy. You won't never make it. And your friend on the other end of the phone pauses for a second because your friend remembers saying that. And you remember your friend saying it, but you don't say nothing. You wait for the next words to come out of your friend's mouth. And your friend says, I wish I had. And you sit there and you think about all of the friends that you've been able to meet over the years, all of the places you've been able to travel to. You think about all the donations you've been able to make to charitable organizations. You think of all of the people you've been able to assist them in their journey through the jungle as well. And as a tear falls from your eye, you say to your friend, I'm glad I did. The point that I really want you to understand is there is going to come a time in your life where you're either going to say, I wish I had. I wish I had built that business when I had a chance. I wish I had plugged into the training programs. I was sitting right there in the seats. I wish I hadn't just blown it off. I wish I had went out there and talked to some people and talked to more even when people told me no. I wish I just would have kept talking. I wish I would have constantly went to all of the events, not just that one, but all of them. I wish I would have followed the system on faith, even when I didn't fully understand it. I wish I would have paid attention to my diamonds instead of trying to reinvent the wheel just because it was a part of the system I didn't like. I wish I wouldn't have paid attention to my broke cousin who's making $40,000 a year and just got fired for the 5th time. I wish I would have jumped in the swamp when I had a chance. You're either going to say, I wish I had, or you're going to say, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I saw that opportunity and I went for it. I'm glad I went out there and I got no after no after no after no, but I kept charging. I'm glad I continuously developed my rhino skin. I'm glad I stayed in the business long enough to master my internal communication. I'm glad I purchased all of Jerry Clark's tapes. I am glad to have had the opportunity to be able to connect with some of the most powerful people. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I utilized the products on a regular basis. I'm so glad I plugged in and really got the nutrition that my body deserves. I'm so glad that I was able to go and actually make the next presentation even when I didn't want to. Go to the next event even when I didn't even want to. I'm glad I made a decision to do that. I'm glad I made a decision not to pay attention to my broke uncle. I'm glad I made a decision to do that. I'm glad to have the opportunity to be able to live a dash that's full of excitement, adventure, and magic. I'm so glad I made that decision. And I'm going to say to each and every last one of you, you're going to be glad to make that decision as well.
I'm sure you're going to say, I'm glad I did, because you're going to choose to take advantage of the opportunity that you have right now. You're going to take advantage of all the tools and resources that are available, and you're going to take advantage of the fact that you have a vehicle that can allow you to go through the jungle into the land of paradise. So I want to congratulate you. Congratulate you for investing in yourself, for being wise enough to pick up information and resources that can assist you in your journey through the jungle. I also want to congratulate you for making the decision to choose yes to the question, will you make it through the jungle? Congratulate you on your decision to choose yes to the expression of saying, I'm glad I did. And I also want to congratulate you for continuously developing yourself, because that's what it really takes, is continuously learn and gain insights that can assist you in making it through the jungle. Whether or not it's through me and my website at clubrhino.net, or the multitude of other trainers that are available out there that has powerful information and resources that can assist you in making it through the jungle. Whatever it is, just keep charging. Whatever it is, just keep learning. Whatever it is, just keep growing. And I'll one day look forward to seeing you on the other side of the jungle. This has been Jerry D. Rhino Clark, saying that I really enjoyed this experience. My desire is that you have too. My desire is that you made a commitment to develop in being a full-grown, charging, unstoppable rhino. Until next time, keep charging and always remember to go, go, go. Woo!